top story is making news right now because the president is in with Senate GOP leaders. It's their weekly lunch in the Mansfield room, and I know that because one of my guests to the right was telling me that. They do this, but not with the president. This is something special. He's gone to the Hill. He's talking tax reform. They are projected to make a vote on their version of tax reform on Thursday, senators are. There's still some holdouts. We've been talking about it this hour. A couple of no's and 6 wild cards. But other things happening on the Hill today, too, that may inform how Democrats actually act. And that has to do with Democrats not showing up for a meeting with the president today. Back from the outnumbered couch, we have the former chief of staff to Senator Mitch McConnell, Josh Holmes. That's where I was getting my inside scoop. Fox News contributor and syndicated radio talk show host from the left coast is in New York City today. Leslie Marshall is on set. Thank you for being here. I'm going to start with you, Leslie, because during Outnumbered, we wondered, how is it possible that you can make your voice known as leadership, not just for the Democrats in the Senate and the House, but all those people who voted for you if you don't take a meeting with the president?
I agree with you. And you guys know I'm a Democrat, but I'm a realist. And if you want something, and you want something from the deal maker, you got to meet with the guy. Now, here's the problem that I have. I feel both sides are acting childish or acting juvenile. The president with his tweets, "I don't deal with Dems." Well, he has before. And if you want to get things done for the best interest of all people, some Democrats, some Republicans, some other, you got to meet with Democrats. But in the same regard, Schumer and Pelosi should have met with him, because to me, it's just doubling down on the level of childishness not to go in and meet with him and at least present your case, because they have in the past. They have actually flipped the president.
Well, he has met with them, and they got what they wanted.
Yes,
at least kicking it down the can a little bit, protecting the DACA program as it is. It will go away anyway if they don't do something about it, to a time when they could talk about it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I'm the only one that remembers the last time they went down to the White House, they offered the president a deal and he took it.
Yes.
It's like, holy smokes, wait.
And how good would it look for them and look for Dems?
So I agree. There is absolutely no reason for them to not go down there. You're dealing with must-pass items. These are government funding items. They have priorities like DACA and others. But it's not an optional thing. You have to actually get this stuff done. That's what governing is. That's why they're there in the first place. And so the idea that they can just kind of say no thanks and not show up is completely ridiculous.
So Chris Stirewalt likened this to the latest show on Broadway, where it's all for show. That the problem is you're going into a season when people don't want angst about their government shutting down and about their paychecks. And we do have a lot of people who work for the government and cottage industries that depend on the government and those workers being employed. So, we hear the talk about, well, it'll come close. It'll come close, but it won't happen. Will it?
Unfortunately, in recent years, it has. If history is our guide here, almost every year.
And is it effective for anybody? I mean, who gets blamed for the government being such a mess?
Well, everybody gets blamed. I mean, that's why D.C.'s got an 18% approval rating. It doesn't help the president, it doesn't help Republicans, it doesn't help Democrats. It hurts everybody. And really, on these end-of-the-year funding bills, they should sort of be perfunctory. I mean, this is something that everybody should agree and move past, get it into the new year, deal with all the priorities on their own timeline. But this is essential stuff.
One of the things that the president has been working with is North Korea, and we have had breaking news in the last few minutes. I'm about to get some details, so I'm going to ask you guys to sit through. North Korea, breaking news regarding a ballistic missile the Pentagon has now confirmed has happened in the middle of the day here. It happened a short while ago. We don't know if it's an ICBM, that's intercontinental, but we are learning new details. As we do, we'll bring them to you. We also learned today that perhaps they are farther along in their nuclear capability than first thought through the South Korean ministry. Back from Outnumbered is Josh Holmes and then Leslie Marshall as well, along for our power panel today. What does the president do next? On the heels of an Asia trip, he's got some accomplishments under his belt. Josh?
Well, the first thing is he was over in Asia for a number of reasons, not the least of which is to talk about this very topic. And, he obviously doesn't go into all the details of his conversations with President Xi, but he's a huge player in this. And what we hope is that we've extracted at least the idea that China has an investment here and needs to be working hand in glove with the United States and basically the world community to ensure that North Korea does not continue to do the kind of things that they're doing right here. So I think it's more than just a President Trump response. I think it's a world community response.
Interesting. Leslie, Democrats not going to be at that meeting that was supposed to be about the spending bill. Part of that would be defense spending, as Josh pointed out during the commercial break. Missed opportunity for Democrats today to be talking about defense with this going on?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we were just talking about this off air. And Josh, even though we are on different sides politically, I think we agree here, because this is not just how does the president respond, but how does China respond? And that is on the heels of his trip. We have to keep in mind, regardless of the response, the real victims, if you will, in the future are not just the people of North Korea who are brainwashed by this leader, but South Korea, just for geographic purposes alone. We've heard from military experts that say the way we handle this could, change the world. And I am honestly confident in the international community when it comes to the response of this, with the United States leading the way, that we will do the right thing, because this guy's an unstable leader.
Yeah, and one of the things in this, we were talking about the spending bill. One of the things that's actually topical here is defense spending, with Republican leaders pushing to try to get more spending in for defense issues like this. And I think this is a stark reminder that we're not playing juvenile games here. There are real consequences. There are people who wish the American people ill, and we need to be prepared. So I hope that this unsticks that argument.
You know, it's interesting, the timing of this, as I had mentioned, that we learned from the South Korean ministry, and our Jennifer Griffin had some detail about this as well. As we were waking up this morning, news was being made that potentially North Korea is farther along in its nuclear program than we were led to believe. Leslie?
I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised, because we're not able with that particular country to monitor, what they're doing. I'm also not surprised because, and I don't mean to sound petty with this, but this guy has an overblown Napoleon complex, clearly, and again, juvenile, but very dangerous. These are real war games, if you will. These are real missiles, and because we don't know what type of missile, we don't know the range and what kind of
and that
damage
matters.
it is. Oh, absolutely.
Because that again tells us what they're capable
Absolutely.
of. Does China know? I mean, who really has the relationship right now to know how far along they are? And I mean, you talk about being able to, Josh, maybe lean in and change them through money and through sanctions. But what eyes on the ground do we have? Would that be China?
Well, China does know. The great challenge that we've had for years is to try to make them care. They know.
Or how about make them share? How about caring enough about the rest of the world to let us know? Do we not have that kind of relationship with China?
Well, we haven't up to this point, unfortunately. And I think one of the things that President Trump has done is reset that relationship to the point where we're having new conversations again. Now, I don't think there's been any evidence that we've changed up to this point, but here's another opportunity today. And I think if we see a robust response from China, you can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that his trip to Asia was worth it.
And if we don't, I mean, it won't mean that his trip wasn't worth it. It just may mean that China is what?
We got to keep pushing. There is no quit here. I mean, this is a nuclear threat that has the capability of harming the American people and our allies around the world. This is not something you throw up your hands and say, oh, shoot. We can't do this. You have to keep at it, and hopefully we can get this done, because you're right, this is a madman.
All right, so the defense spending conversation that will be part of that spending conversation in total at the White House today, that will be how they touch on this. But just substantively, the president now has a situation where North Korea has fired a ballistic missile toward the east. Yeah.
Well, you got to take every one of these extraordinarily seriously, and I think actually President Trump has done a very good job of laying out both a aggressive response and knowing that we're not playing around, but also measured, and that he's not playing war games in order to have the rest of the world fear what retaliation is happening here. I think we have to keep all options on the table, and I think the president has done that.
I hear you, Leslie, saying that you're on the same page. And when it comes to wartime, that is kind of bipartisan. It has to be as we kind of move forward. And not saying that that's what this would be. But clearly, firing a missile when you know that the world is watching and that is against what you're supposed to be doing, that is an act of aggression and violence.
It is an act of aggression and violence, and how we respond is, clearly necessary as to what could or could not be the next step. When you talk about, we have to be measured, right, and we have to be diplomatic. I think this is a time and an opportunity for the president to say, I am the president, to be presidential, because he is a madman, words can trigger him too. So I would say stay off Twitter, listen to those who are in command and have the experience in the military to guide us. And I agree with you how China responds. I think China cares about money and people.
I've had generals tell me they don't care what the madman thinks, that you've got to posture and let them know who you are. But those are generals, right? Josh Holmes, Leslie Marshall, thank you for being